one of the things we need to acknowledge is the scope of the historic discrimination and its fallout. So, for example, when we're dealing with black farmers and the land that they've lost in the last 100 years, which we're talking it's at the scale of 15, 16 million acres of land. I'm part of a research team that's looking at the economic consequences of that land loss. And our conservative estimate is just the value of the property itself is $350 billion. Our research team, that includes people like Derek Hamilton and others, is now trying to build a more robust estimate, taking into account things like when you own property, you can use that property as collateral to finance your children's higher education. And those outcomes you would expect intergenerationally from that education. And we're thinking that in addition to the $350 billion, we're talking several $100 billion on top of that. If you look at housing, before the pandemic, the 1968 Federal Fair Housing Act becomes law. We had the high water mark for Black home ownership in this country was in, I think, 2004, almost 50%. We are now, before the pandemic, we had lost so much ground. We were below the home ownership rate at the time the Federal Fair Housing Act had been enacted into law. It's kind of a shocking kind of realization.
Yeah.
And so these are not, if you're going to have a remedy, it's got to be to the level of the problem, not some type of token or symbolism. There's also the issue, I think, that whether we're talking about the real estate sector, we're talking about various governmental sectors, you need people in policymaking positions, stakeholders that reflect the diversity of the country, so that you have African Americans and Latinos and others who are in important policy positions in a position to develop and direct and to help the policy team overall raise their awareness of problems that they might not be familiar with. So I just think it's incredibly key, whether we're talking in the real estate sector with developers or contractors, or on the finance side and on the legal side. We have a tremendous paucity of African American lawyers in this country who have any experience in real estate and tax and estate planning. So I think that's kind of important to know. Well, who's at the table when these policy solutions are kind of being devised?